to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. I'm out on a bit of a day trip. Today I'm currently sitting at Milham train station. I'm about to get the train in about 10 minutes to Barrow, where I'll be meeting up with the AutoTrader, and we're then travelling on to Lancaster. We're going to the cinema. We are going to see a film, which I'll come to in a moment. So, there's been no film uploading for a week or more. Not since I finished editing all of the stuff that we did on Gran Canaria. There's a couple of reasons for this. One, I've been busy with other work, the wage slavery that pays me and allows me to carry on doing what I'm doing here. The weather has been wintry, to say the least. There's been a lot of snow, a lot of ice. It simply was not feasible to ride a motorcycle. So I haven't, and it's been nearly 2 weeks now, nearly 2 weeks. That's going to change tomorrow, but it doesn't matter. Things come and things go. That's how it is. Nothing you can do about it. We are going to see a film called Grand Theft Hamlet, which is why I was just reading a book about Hamlet. It's actually a very special book about Hamlet, written by Stephen Burkoff, one of the greatest, to my mind, Shakespearean actors ever. Nearly as good as me, nearly, but not quite. Anyway, he provides in this book that I've been reading some fabulous insights into what it means and what it does to you physically and mentally to play the part of Hamlet. So we are going to watch Grand Theft Hamlet. Now, a lot of you will be aware of what Grand Theft Auto is. I certainly am. I've wasted many hours of my life walking around an imaginary town, riding cars, driving cars, riding motorcycles, shooting people in the head just for being there, running down passengers. This is a healthy escapism. But in the first lockdown, all those years ago, it seems like now, when COVID hit, a bunch of out-of-work actors were sitting around playing Grand Theft Auto, and they came up with the idea of staging Hamlet within Grand Theft Auto. And they had a conversation about this, and they all agreed it was a really stupid idea, but they decided to go ahead and do it anyway. That's what I'm going to go and see tonight. I'll have a great deal more to say about this tomorrow when I'm out riding my motorcycle. Meeting up with the AutoTrader in Barrow, and we're going to go to Lancaster, have a bite to eat, and then we will go see the film. I'll let you know what happens. So here we are, we've gotten off the train at Barrow-in-Furness, going down some very steep steps. And I've got, well, they're not my climbing shoes on. So I'm hoping that when I come out of the train station here, the AutoTrader will be waiting for me. That may or may not go in the final video, but we will see. So it's about 3:45, and the light is fading, and I need to go and find the Murgatroyd. We'll see how that works out. So here we are going through the ticket machine, and here is the magnificent Murgatroyd.
Is that really necessary?
The mighty Guru yogurt. There has been a little bit of an hiatus in my film production for the last 2 weeks. Couple of reasons for this. One, I've been quite busy with other stuff. I do have a life outside of YouTube, as do we all, well, most of us anyway. Second of all, the weather has been exceptionally wintry. It has been sub-zero temperatures for well over a week. We have had a very heavy dump of snow up here in Cumbria, and the roads were, quite frankly, icy. Icy beyond the point where I'm prepared to get on a bike and take my life into my hands. Done that before, got the scars, won't do it any longer. So I've largely been going to work in the van, although we also had problems with the van, and that was sat on a car park for a week while we waited to get a new starter motor fitted. That's all sorted out now, and the weather has changed remarkably. It is actually feeling a little bit spring-like today. It's about 10 or 11 degrees, which is in sharp contrast to what we've been having for the last couple of weeks. The snow and ice on the road has now gone, and so I'm out on the motorcycle for the first time in 2 weeks. That felt like a very long 2 weeks, particularly since the prelude to it was, of course, our 5 days on Gran Canaria. Hope you enjoyed the videos from that. I certainly enjoyed making them. And I have a Range Rover about 15 feet behind me at 32 miles an hour. I think I need to explain to him the concept of a stopping distance. Or I could just turn around and give him the evil eye. So, as you can probably see, there is still a little bit of snow over the tops. Up until about 4 days ago, the snow line was almost right down to the valley. Really was a considerable amount of snow put down onto the fells. And indeed, last Thursday, myself and one of my colleagues from work, who's a keen climber and mountaineer, were out on the Langdale Pikes wading through 2 feet of powder snow. It was hard work. Right, I've had just about enough of this Range Rover now, so I'm just slowing down. You're a fucking wanker. Jesus fucking Christ. Moron. So yeah, some pretty extreme winter conditions up here, but maybe more to come. It is still only the middle of January. So what else have we got to report? Well, in a while I'll be talking about some plans that we're formulating for this year's adventures. We'll come to that shortly. Oh, and here's another thing. So I spent a bit of time looking at the state of Mr. Suzuki and assessing how long it would take me to get him back on the road, what it would need, and it seemed to me that it was probably going to cost me in excess of £500. Now, considering I bought the motorcycle almost 3 years ago now for the princely sum of £1,400, and given that it now has 30,000 miles on the clock, I decided that I would call it a day and just get a different sports bike. Well, that was a difficult decision to have made. I agonised about it for quite a while because I did really enjoy that motorcycle. Mr. Suzuki, for those who don't know, is a GSX 600F. And so I started looking on AutoTrader. And I thought, well, you know, I'm really just looking for a winter hack. I don't want the magnificent beast here to get any more corroded and abused than he already has been. And so I thought if I just get a little cheap sports bike, you know, 40, 50,000 miles on the clock, that'll get me through the winter. Because I am thinking of working really hard and getting a fair bit of money together and buying a new or nearly new adventure motorcycle a little bit later in the year. I came across a Honda CBR 600, which looked as though it would suit my purposes admirably. It had got roughly 50,000 miles on the clock, apparently. It had had quite a lot of owners, but it appeared in good shape, and I phoned up the guy, Kieran Hughes. Kieran Hughes. You'll be hearing more about that little bastard later. I will be making a full-length video on this subject, but the matter is still unfolding. I phoned him up, he answered. Sounded like a personable young man. He told me a story about how he'd recently passed his test, and before he got a really big motorcycle, he wanted to spend a bit of time on a 600 just to build himself up. He sounded really genuine, really friendly. We had a lengthy chat, laughing, joking about motorcycles. And that was that. So I'd arranged on the following Monday, 3 days hence, to go over and have a look at the bike. It was only, allegedly, 26 miles up the road in Whitehaven. This is ideal, I thought. I was getting quite excited. So anyway, on the Saturday evening, I was at work, but it was a bit of a quiet spell in the kitchen, so I checked my phone. There was a message from this Kieran Hughes, aka thieving scumbag. And he said, and bear in mind I'd had a fairly lengthy conversation with him earlier, he said, oh look, he said, somebody else has phoned up and said they will come with the cash and buy the bike sight unseen on Monday. So how do you fancy putting a deposit on it? Well, at that point, I have a distinctive ability, by the way, to curb my enthusiasm. Once I get my teeth into something, it's going to get consumed. I wasn't thinking clearly. I sent him over £100 deposit. About 30 minutes later, he texted me to say the money hadn't turned up. Now, I do banking in two places. One with a building society that I've had an account with for, getting on for 3 decades now. And I also use an online bank account provided by Monese, which I've never had a problem with. I've been using that for 5 or 6 years. It just suits me as a current account. Because it's an online bank and because it's not recognised as a high street bank, sometimes the money takes a little bit longer to go in than it would if you were using a mainstream bank, if you like. Indeed, when the Murgatroyd sends me money across from her Santander account, it arrives pretty much instantly. But when I send money to her, it sometimes takes an hour or two. So I explained this to Kieran Hughes, not Kieran Hughes. And he said, oh, okay, which bank are you with? And I said, Monese, and I explained the situation. And he got back to me about 10 minutes after that. Now, at this point, had I been thinking clearly, I would have been hearing the alarm bells. He said, and bear in mind this is a Saturday night, that he'd been on the phone to his bank and they said that their system hadn't recognised Monese as a bank, and so they'd sent the money back. Would I be able to send it again? Well, I checked my Monese account and the money had not been sent back at all. At that point I should have just stopped. But, of course, me and my inability to curb my enthusiasm led me to call up the Murgatroyd and say, Murgatroyd, look, here's what's happened. The money's coming back to me. Could you please send him over a deposit? Which she did. And he acknowledged the receipt of that almost instantly. He then went on to say that he was looking forward to meeting me and having a chat about my YouTube channel, which I'd mentioned to him during the phone call, on Monday. That was that. I thought I'm going to have a nice new winter hack. Went back to work. The evening got quite busy. I got out of the kitchen about 10 o'clock and went straight back home. Texted the Kieran Hughes on Sunday morning saying, right, I need the address to come to tomorrow. Really looking forward to this. Nothing. No reply all morning. Tried phoning him at about 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, no answer. Left an answer phone message. Tried to phone him again an hour after that, nothing. Left him another answer phone message. At which point, I was finally hearing the alarm bells. Call me naive, we've all been had at some point. It's never going to happen to me again. On Monday morning, I got a text from AutoTrader where they were expressing doubts about the authenticity of the ad. And they said that if I'd entered into any kind of financial transaction with this person, then I should contact them, which I have, and I've given them all the details and they're looking into it. I'll be going to the police tomorrow. I'll have to hold my nose for that one, but it does need to be done. So yeah, just be aware that there are con men out there on AutoTrader, and I got fooled. Don't you. Stop recording.